like I left school at 16. It's a bit different in Scotland, so I'd done like a school leaver programme or like an apprenticeship as such. I've kind of seen that kind of corporate lifestyle, and it just wasn't for me, especially kind of during COVID times. It was really quite bleak, and a lot of people really struggled that I kind of worked with and stuff. And I just knew at that point, like, I can't be doing this for the next 50 years of my life or so. But then, as you say, the kind of greed got to me, and I blew a large sum of money. I blew a large personal, and then I lost a bit of money in like crypto when FTX went down. That was kind of a dark point of I didn't really want to look at the charts. I had no interest and no motivation to go back and look at them. You can get back on your feet and go and do it. You've done it once, so why can't you go and do it again and stuff?
What advice could you give to somebody else who's probably going through something similar? Hey guys, and welcome back to the Bespoke Funded Trader podcast. Today I'm joined by a guy who has travelled quite a long way and has had a few hiccups on the journey. So we are super grateful to have him here today, and we're so glad that he made it in the end. So let's get straight into it. So how are you?
Yeah, not bad. Bit of a long journey to get here from Glasgow, but glad I got here in the end and get to sit down.
You made it finally,
Yep.
and finally we get to hear your story.
Yep.
So for everyone watching at home who doesn't know who you are, would you like to tell them who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm Marc Moyer, and I'm from Glasgow in Scotland. Been trading for about 3 years now, since I was 17, so I'm 20 just now.
Okay, so you're just 20?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think you might be the youngest that we've had on the podcast so far.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how did you get into trading at 17?
I just kind of like my brother and stuff, kind of looked at crypto and stuff, so I was always kind of a bit interested in kind of that kind of stuff, and I just kind of got involved in kind of seeing your usual seeing the signals and stuff on Instagram and thought, oh, that looks good. So yeah, kind of looked at that. I was doing a bit of drop shipping and stuff at the time as well, and I spoke to another boy who'd done that, and he was kind of getting into trading, and he said, why don't you join this kind of community that he was in? So I just thought, I had a bit of time, kind of was like, why not just go and have a look at it. It was approaching kind of COVID time as well, and I was working from home at the time, so I had quite a bit of free time, kind of in the evenings and stuff. So just kind of started looking at the courses and got involved, and from there just kind of bounced about communities, and now kind of where I am today.
I like that. So does your brother trade crypto? Or was
It just kind of held crypto. It wasn't like actually day trading as such. It was just
Yeah.
like swing trading, holding spot.
Okay.
So yeah, he kind of, I suppose, got me into like looking at charts and kind of that side of things.
Okay, cool. What was your first kind of like you say, like the communities and seeing like the social media side of it? Was that kind of what like kind of propelled you to getting into it, like seeing the, like, kind of the lifestyle-y
Yeah, I think like
bits of it?
definitely, like obviously lifestyle does catch your eye, but I think once you actually learn how to trade, you learn that it's not all that kind of glamorous lifestyle that you see a lot of the time on Instagram. I think, yeah, that kind of did. And I think during COVID times, everyone was kind of looking at stuff they could do just to kind of keep themselves occupied. You couldn't leave the house, so it was always good to try and earn a bit of extra money. You know, as I said, I was drop shipping and stuff like that, and always kind of looking for a wee bit. Even since I've been young, like I've always been kind of that entrepreneurial way. I kind of like was a personal shopper a wee bit when I was younger, and
Okay, cool.
done like shoes and stuff. So I've always just kind of had that. Like I didn't really, don't know, I always wanted to earn a bit of extra money on the side and stuff. So it's just always been a kind of motivation in that sense.
I love that. I was going to say, like, how did you get into the drop shipping? Because I think, again, drop shipping, trading, property, like, that's kind of like the three avenues that people tend to go down. What got you into drop shipping, and do you still do that now?
No, I don't do that. I only done it for kind of a short period of time.
Okay.
It was just kind of, again, during COVID, just didn't have much to do, and just was always looking for ways to kind of make a bit of extra money, and I didn't love the kind of job that I was in, and just always wanted to kind of have my own business and stuff. So yeah, it was just kind of that, again, just trying to kind of escape the kind of 9-to-5 life, and I didn't feel that it was ever really for me, and I like to be kind of my own boss and stuff, and it's that kind of the freedom that trading gives you. So yeah,
I agree. I think it's amazing as well that you managed to get into it so young. So you've like skipped the whole like working for someone else for like a longer period of time. You knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that's just kind of what you've run with. Does that run in your family, or is that something that you've kind of independently picked up on?
No, I think like my dad, he kind of had his own company and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of looking up to him, I suppose, and kind of he's now exited that company and stuff like that. So it's always a great inspiration to kind of see what hard work can achieve. So I think from the kind of get go, I always wanted to kind of go and build something of my own. I don't think that you're going to earn the kind of money that I wanted to earn working a 9-to-5 unless you get really high up, and that takes a long period of time. And don't get me wrong, I left school at 16. It's a bit different in Scotland, so I'd done like a school leaver programme or like an apprenticeship as such.
Okay.
And I worked at a kind of large accountancy firm doing audit, so I'd done that for kind of a couple of years until eventually I did go kind of full time on trading. So I kind of did see both sides of it, and I've kind of seen that kind of corporate lifestyle, and it just wasn't for me, especially kind of during COVID times. It was really quite bleak, and a lot of people really struggled that I kind of worked with and stuff, and I just knew at that point, like, I can't be doing this for the next 50 years of my life or so. So I kind of went all in on it, and thankfully it paid off.
Yeah, I think, like you say, like, COVID was a time where that was kind of when a lot of people were getting into trading, but people were also realising, like, this corporate life that is like kind of sold to you at school.
Yeah.
You know, like go to college, well, here in the UK, go to college, go to uni, get a job, work your way up the corporate ladder, and then finally retire at 65 and live your life at 65. I think COVID was a time where a lot of people that were stuck in that mindset kind of realised that, okay, right, this is not something that I want to be doing forever. But obviously you already had that pre-COVID, so you had that advantage. And then it sounds like when COVID hit, that it was just like, fuck this.
Yeah, it's the perfect time to go and kind of take that leap, I suppose. And it kind of the working from home and stuff gave that bit more time that you needed just to invest it in the, you're not commuting 2 hours a day and stuff like that. So just kind of it fell perfectly for me, to be fair. And along with hard work and a bit of good timing, I suppose it just kind of paid off for me.
I think that's important thing to note as well, the hard work aspect of it. People kind of tend to skip over that part when they're talking about the trading journey. It's hard work to get to where obviously we are now. But obviously your job was doing accounting. Yeah. So obviously that isn't just like a standard job either. Yeah. That is obviously quite in society that's looked up as like a high standing job kind of thing. Yeah. How did you get into that? Was that just kind of something that you just fell into?
I just done accountancy at kind of school, and that was one of my subjects, and I enjoyed it. I was always quite good at it. And then my brother, he also went into accounting, and I just thought that's quite like a well respected profession. It's decent money. I'll give that a go. So I done like kind of a big interview process and stuff with one of the top firms, and managed to get a place there. So I worked there for a couple of years, kind of doing my like chartered accountancy exams. So like if I ever was to have to go back to doing them, like I can pick up where I left off, which is good. But hopefully won't need to do it, as it's not the brightest in the world. But as I say, it was a good experience, and it definitely matured me as a person and stuff like that. And it gives you the confidence to come and do stuff like this, and it was definitely a good learning experience. But just as I say, I didn't love the whole setup of the kind of corporate lifestyle, and wanted a bit more from life, a bit more freedom.
I absolutely get it, and I think I like what you said there about it being like, if trading ends up failing one day, if entrepreneurship ends up failing one day, you've got that to fall back on. Yeah. Which that was always my thing as well. So I went to uni, got my degree, and then I got my master's degree. As soon as I finished my master's degree, I was like, I'm not ever going to use these. Yeah. But I know now I've got something really good to fall back on should everything else fail.
Yeah, it takes that bit of pressure off in trading as well, which I think like a lot of people don't. They just say, oh, I'm going to be this, and then they just decide they want to be profitable the next day. You can't just kind of do that. You always need to have a kind of plan B, and I know people always say, like, if you'll never like do anything if you don't just risk it all and stuff, but you need to kind of sometimes, I think, live in a bit of a more realistic world of trading's not for everyone, and not everyone can go and earn the kind of money that people you see online and stuff. So you do always just need to have that wee thing to fall back on. I think a lot of people do it as well when they're going full time in trading, is that they go full time too soon, and they don't realise that when you're trading with that stress of, if I don't make money this month, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills. Yeah. It makes everything 10 times harder. It makes the FOMO more. It just makes life much harder as a trader. So I think like you should always have that bit of either before you go full time, if you're dropping out of a full time job, maybe get a part time job that allows you to trade the sessions, or like that allows you to trade more or gives you a bit more time to learn and stuff, rather than just saying like, right, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to be a trader, and then you end up at the end of the month you can't pay your bills and stuff. So yeah,
I agree. I think it's so important to, number one, have some kind of backup plan should it fail, because like you say, trading isn't for everyone, and people kind of come into this thinking, yeah, I'm going to learn how to analyze a chart. As soon as I know how to analyze a chart, it's kind of like full steam ahead from there. But it's not. There's a lot more elements that go into it, especially when it comes to mindset. So I think having a plan B is always ideal in the beginning, but also having a secondary source of income, so you're not relying on your trading to make profits and to pay your bills. Because again, like you say, like you'll get FOMO, greed. You're jumping into trades that don't necessarily make sense because you're like, right, rent's due next week, like I need something, but then you just dig yourself a deeper hole, and then you're stuck in that mental battle. So I think that is really important to know, like having a backup plan and having another source of income. I think that's two really important points. Is there anything that you've been through in your life personally that you feel like if you hadn't gone through it, you wouldn't, number one, be a trader, and number two, be a profitable trader that you are today?
I think, yeah, like when I kind of went to then another community after that first one I joined, and that's kind of really where I really kicked on and then became kind of more profitable, so to say, and that was more like 1 minute time frame kind of stuff, and it was like you're going for ridiculous like RR and stuff like that. And I think like I did make quite a good bit of money, but then as you say, the kind of greed got to me, and I blew a large sum of money. I blew a large personal, and then I lost a bit of money in like crypto when FTX went down. So I think like that kind of completely killed all ego I had, because I think at that point I was like 18, 19, and I was kind of building that ego up, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of untouchable
Lifestyle
at a
Lambo.
point. Yeah, exactly. I think like, yeah, I was kind of like changing a bit as a person, probably in a bad way. And I think that kind of 6 month period, I suppose, really that taught me the lessons that I needed to learn of you don't ever take that kind of stuff for granted, and you really need to, I suppose, just keep your feet in the ground and not let that ego get the better of you, because it always will, and it'll always come back to bite you. So I think that definitely changed me. And now when I trade, I mean, my style is I trade 1 to 3s off the 50-minute time frame, so it's much less stress free. It's just you've got that set kind of RR that you're, once it hits that, you're out. And yeah, I think it helps a lot in the mindset for me anyway. Takes a lot of stress off you.
You know what? I love that you're honest about that, because I think something like that, they probably wouldn't even tell me about that story.
Yeah.
Because I think, number one, the whole FTX situation, that must have been
Yeah, because it's out with your hands as well. It's not as if like that was my fault that happened, but it happened. So yeah, I think it was difficult, but as I say, that one was out of my hands. But there was a lot of stuff that was in my hands when it was blowing kind of multiple accounts and then blowing a personal account that I'd built up as well. It teaches you the hard lessons.
What was it like? Like, talk me through going through, because obviously interviewing people with Bespoke, I talk to people that are funded. Not many people have personal accounts.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear, like, what was that like mentally for you, and what has that done for you now, going through losing a big amount of personal capital?
Yeah, well, I think like the FTX was the largest amount. I mean, the person I was trading wasn't like absolutely massive. It was just a bit that I was always trying to build a personal up alongside the props, just in case anything did happen. It's just always good to diversify a little bit. But I mean, it was really challenging, especially when you're trying to like kind of, at that point, like everyone was kind of looking at you and saying like, oh, like he's got money and stuff in it. Yeah, but maybe that was an age thing. Is like at 19, like when people have that, you don't want to turn around and say like, oh, actually I've lost all that. Like,
Yeah.
It was a bit embarrassing for me. I found anyway, and it shouldn't be, because that's not the way you should feel about it. But
And you were young.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you went through that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely taught me a lesson. I think like everyone will learn that kind of lesson in life at some point of. So I think it's best to happen at a young age, because now it definitely has made me a better person and kills that ego off, and ego is not good in any aspect of life. So it was really difficult, and I did take like kind of 6 months away from forex, from crypto, from everything. I still don't touch crypto. So I just took a wee while away just to get my head straight, because if I was to go and try and revenge trade that, it would have made things a lot worse. So I'm kind of glad that I did take that time away and spoke to like my brother and my family and stuff, and they kind of supported me through that. But yeah, it was really difficult, and in the long run, like I wouldn't say I'm thankful for it, because I'd lost a lot of money, but it definitely has kind of changed me for the better.
And I think you probably know, I mean, at the time you probably didn't think it, but I think now, if you look back, you'll realise that kind of moulded you to who you are now.
Yeah.
And any future decisions you're making, you're obviously going to have that in mind. So I think that'll probably take out the greed, the revenge trading, the FOMO. I can imagine going through something like that kind of cuts all of that out, because you're like, I've been through the fucking worst. Like, I can't let myself go through that again.
Yeah, definitely. I think like I still do get FOMO, but it is definitely a lot less than what it used to be. I think everyone still gets FOMO at points. Just
We're human.
It's natural, yeah. However many lessons you take in life, you still always make that one mistake. I mean, obviously last week I kind of had a poor trading week, and I think like the majority of that wasn't due to FOMO, but there was one trade I took that was FOMO, and there was news coming up, and I still took it when my plan says not really to take it, and I was like, well, I'll just take it because I was having a poor week already. And yeah, I think it still happens, but it definitely does stamp out a lot of the greed and stuff that I had before. And yeah, the FOMO is definitely less than it used to be.
Yeah, I can imagine going through something like that. Did you go through the FTX situation and losing the personal account like within the same time frame?
Yeah, it was across kind of 6 months, so I think like it was a tough 6 months, but yeah, as I say, just kind of something to learn from in the future, and it has kind of scarred me from crypto a bit. I don't really touch it at all anymore. But I'm sure at one day I'll get back into it. But yeah, it wasn't a fun 6 months.
No, I can imagine. I think we all kind of have a crypto story.
Yeah.
We've all been burnt a little bit by crypto. We've either like made millions and now we're like living life, or we've been burnt and we're like, well, okay, this isn't quite like as easy as people make out.
Exactly. You can't just buy something that you need a million overnight. But yeah, everyone definitely does have that story.
Yeah, 100%. So is there anything that you still struggle with as a trader? Like, is there anything that you feel like you can still improve on? And if there is, what advice could you give to somebody else who's probably going through something similar?
Well, yeah, as I say, I think like FOMO is always a thing that you deal with as a trader. And I think, again, ego is something that you deal with as a trader just naturally. I think you just really need to when you're especially making difficult decisions, or sometimes like trades are happening really quickly, you need to make these rapid decisions. You just always need to, no matter how like fast you need to make a decision, you need to take a wee step back and just think, is this the right thing to be doing? Does this fit my plan? Is there any ego involved here? Is there any FOMO? And I think it's just taking that step back and not I know sometimes for me, whenever I'm about to place a trade, I get like a wee rush and stuff, and your heart starts going a wee bit. So I think it's just like you need to try and put that to one side and just make sure that you need to act as a robot for your plan and just be really mechanical about it. I think it's just about taking that step back and just if it is something that doesn't fit your plan, is then just shutting the charts for that 5-minute period and just cooling off a bit. Is what I like to do, is take a step away, go and get a drink or make myself something to eat or something, and just take that few minutes away before I do something stupid, because I've done it in the past and I've made the mistakes, so try my best not to make them again.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's good advice, just taking that step away from the charts, because do you trade full time?
Yeah.
So as full-time traders, we don't really have much else to do. Like we can be on the charts whenever we want to be. So I think for a lot of people that work, they probably wish that they were in our position.
Yeah.
And people that are, and people say to me, I wish I could just stay at home and trade all day. I'm like, it is not what you think it is. You literally have all the free time in the world. For me, I've got kids, so it's a little bit different. But in hindsight, we do have majority of the time on our hands. So we can look at the charts whenever we want to. If we see something on a smaller time frame, we're like, fuck it, I'll take it, I can, and take that little bit of risk. But then it becomes a pattern, it becomes a habit, and then you're just getting into trades that don't really make sense. Whereas if you have a job or just other things to do, it makes it a lot easier, because you don't have the time to be looking on the chart. So when you do, you utilize it, and you don't want to waste that time, because getting that next winning trade, it's going to take a little bit longer than obviously if you were working full time, like trading full time. So I think sometimes the fact that we are full-time traders, it can be a great thing, but then other times it is to a detriment, because we just have so much to do.
You're sitting staring at the charts all day, and you're kind of making up your bias. I think something I really struggle with is sometimes in my strategy, like a hedge does appear that's valid for me, and that's something last week I struggled with. There's like two winners came from hedges, and I missed both of them because I was too stubborn on what my bias was at that point, and that's probably comes from me sitting looking at the charts and over analysing it rather than just saying, look at your strategy, does it fit the plan? Yes, just hit it. But again, I think like I took too long of making the decision of can I swing back and forward of should I hit this? I'm in this short. I don't want to hit it long because I'd rather it went short for me. Yeah. And I think that is a kind of sometimes you're a victim of having that much time on your hands that you do overanalyze it and you overthink it rather than just following that plan that you've back tested and gathered data on and you know it's profitable.
I agree. I was in pretty much exactly the same situation last week. I was long on GU. I was in profit. I think we had news. I can't remember what happened. I don't think it was even news. It just hit a certain level and that was a level. It was just a strong level. Hit it on the third tap. So it was 3-point rejection and then it came to an 88.8% fib on GU, which I heavily use. But I was long. This was telling me to go short and I just completely ignored it. Left my positions running and obviously ended up at a loss. And I was like, I knew exactly what was going to happen. That did to a T. If my bias was the opposite direction, I would have full ported that. Like,
I know, it's just so hard.
I knew that was going to happen.
It's so hard to change your bias when you've already got it that certain way. And it cost me last week. Last week I lost one of my funded accounts due to, like, I had a poor week, just made that mistake on the news thing. So I got slapped a wee bit on that just due to the news. And then missed the 2 winners from hedges. And I had 12 entries last week for my system on my strategy on EU, which is way more than normal. I think it was just because we were playing a wee bit of a funny range. So I ended up taking kind of 10 losses in a row, and blowing that 100k funded that I took like 5 payouts off. I mean, thankfully I have another account, a 200k with yourselves, and then I have also got other challenges on the go at the moment. So it's not like the end of the world for me, but I think it definitely. Again, that made me kind of humble me a wee bit and just say, like, you need to get back to following this plan exactly. You kind of use it for a reason. So you've back tested it, you've got the data on it, it's profitable, so follow it no matter what and try and remove that bias from your head as much as possible.
I think as well, it becomes kind of a habit. Like you'll start winning trades that don't particularly fit your system, and then you're like, I can kind of go with this. Bullish engulfing on the 1 minute, right? I'm in. I win it. And then you think the next trade, you think it's going to happen again, and then it doesn't, and you're like, you take a few losses in a row, and then you're like, hold on a minute, I've just been trading those last 5-10 trades. That's not even my strategy. That was just pure luck. Yeah,
you're starting to bend the rules.
And it becomes a habit, doesn't it?
Yeah, you bend the rules a wee bit once, and then you just start bending them a wee bit more, and then you're looking at trades thinking that's not the way I trade. Like why am I in that and stuff. So yeah, definitely I think it is really hard to be strict, but you just need to be really disciplined. I think that is a massive thing as a trader, is having that discipline of following your plan.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think, so this is a conversation I had with one of the last in-person interviews, Alfie, what is your thought process on discipline? So do you think that you can be disciplined in trading and not so disciplined in the rest of your life? Or do you feel like in order to be disciplined in trading, you have to be disciplined in the rest of your life?
Well, nah, I think you can be disciplined in trading and not so disciplined in the rest of your life, because like I'll say to myself, I'm going to go to the gym like tonight, and then I'll just not go, which I suppose is not being disciplined. But when it comes to trading, I think that you can flip that switch, and it's that you're working, that you need to be disciplined. Like there's no two ways about it. Whereas like sometimes some days I'm like, I'll just trade London from my bed, or I'll not get up and go and sit at my desk and stuff like that, or I'll not go to the gym. Cause I trade sessions, so it's like kind of 7:30 till about 10:15, and then my kind of routine that I want to get into is then going to the gym in like kind of London lull, before New York session starts. But it's very rare that happens when that's kind of what I want to be doing. But as I say, kind of undisciplined in that sense. I'd rather kind of chill, take that bit, because I think it is mentally draining. I think people think, oh, you just sit looking at a chart all day, but it's mentally draining, and the stress that you can sometimes come under it does tire you out, and you sometimes just want to kind of go and chill for that wee hour during the day. But yeah, it is something I'd like to get going though, is going to the gym and kind of London law, and then getting back to the charts in time for New York starting. Yeah,
I think for me, I agree with that whole concept. I do, but for me, I've realised that if I'm disciplined throughout the rest of my life, then that kind of follows through into trading.
Yeah.
I'll be in a better mood because more things are getting done. I'm being disciplined, and that kind of follows through to my trading. Whereas if I'm just kind of just going about life, waking up when I feel like it, or just waiting for the kids to wake up and them to wake me up, that's kind of like, it'll go fine for a few weeks. I'll still be trading, I'll be profitable, but then it'll get to a week where I'm like, I'm being lazy right now, but my trades are kind of working. But then it'll get to a point and I'm like, okay, I'm in drawdown, I'm not following my routine, and then it kind of all kind of falls apart until I get back into that discipline mode, and then trading starts working again, and it's like it's like a wave almost. Like I'm just it's a lot. But for me personally, I know that in order to be consistent with trading, I have to be in like that disciplined routine.
No, I can see both ways, and I think a lot of people on Twitter and stuff say that kind of thing is you need to be disciplined in all aspects of your life for it to work and stuff. But I think for me, I don't know if maybe that will come with maturity and stuff that I might be. But I'm not going to sit here and lie and say,
you've got plenty of time.
I'm up it. I do always go up at the same time, to be fair. I always go up for like my 7:30 start. Okay. I don't miss that, but I'm not going to say like I'm in the gym at like 5 in the morning and stuff, because I'm just not. And kind of at the weekends, like I like to DJ as well, so
cool.
I'm always kind of out on a Saturday like DJing and stuff, and I do find that if I'm out late on the Saturday, sometimes that will creep into kind of my Monday morning. I'm not feeling like 100%, and I think especially if it's kind of been a heavy one, if I've been drinking and stuff, I think it does impact me on a Monday morning, especially London. So that's something I'm kind of trying to think about, and the best way to kind of juggle the two things, because kind of DJing is more like a kind of passion thing, whereas trading, obviously that's kind of my full-time job at the moment. So it is something that I'm kind of trying to learn how to kind of balance it out. But I think kind of that is a bit of will discipline, I suppose, and that I feel does maybe affect it. So something that I can kind of take away and work on, I suppose.
But again, I think DJing, obviously that's something that you enjoy and that's a passion. So I think this is why we trade, because you can do that. If you don't want to trade on Monday because you've had a rough weekend and you feel like shit, then you don't have to. Whereas if you had a job, that boss wants you there at 9 o'clock in the morning, whether you like it or not.
But then I think that goes back to like, if I was to skip London on a Monday and then there'd be a winner in there, I'm then going to be waking up having a bit of FOMO. I'm like, I should have been up for that, and then I might take that to New York and force a trade. So I always do think like, although I would really want to trade that freedom, I need to have like, I wouldn't ever just like wake up and say I'm taking today off because I don't feel like it. I would always want to say like, I'm going on holiday this week, so like I'm on holiday, I'm not looking at the charts, rather than like just day to day think, I can't be bothered, because I think that's when you then do let yourself go a bit, and then you're kind of slipping into that undisciplined and work sense.
That makes sense.
So that's the way I kind of try to look at it.
And I like that.
Even then, I think as well, like when I go on holiday, I do struggle to switch off as well. It's so easy just to have a check of your charts and stuff, and like I recently was in Dubai and I was kind of on the charts every day, and I
think, you know what though, Dubai, obviously that is a different kind of world. So I think when you're in Dubai, you want to trade.
I know. I was there with my girlfriend though, and I think like some days maybe she wasn't best pleased that I was always on my phone quite a lot and stuff. But I think especially there, like I really enjoyed Dubai because the session times were a bit better. Like I didn't have to get up that early.
For London.
But I suppose then kind of in the afternoon, I was kind of maybe taking me away from what I should have been doing. But no, I enjoyed it. It was good.
Okay, that's cool. So how did you get into DJing? Like that's so. I wasn't expecting that.
No, I think like me and I do it with like my pal, so we both kind of do it as a kind of like as a like partnership. I think we went to Creamfields together a few years ago. The kind of first one back after lockdown, and just got into it after that. To be honest, we've always kind of been into music and stuff, but we just kind of done it as a bit of a kind of like hobby and stuff, and then kind of this year we've kind of kicked on a bit, getting quite a lot of stuff in kind of Glasgow, and then we played in Ibiza and stuff like that as well this summer, so that was really good.
What kind of music do you do?
Just house music.
It's
not massive in Glasgow just now, but it's kind of something that we're starting to push more and try and bring up to Glasgow, because I think like down here you've got like Warehouse Project and stuff.
I was going to say around here it's
massive.
Birmingham as well, like with Digbeth, like it's massive there. But that's really cool. Trading and DJing.
It's ideal.
That's cool. So what has your experience been like with Bespoke?
It's been really good, to be fair. I think like I've taken 2 challenges with Bespoke and passed them both, thankfully.
Cool.
Which was ideal. And like I had a few payouts before, kind of the whole deal situation happened and it was really smooth, you know, everything went perfectly. I think after the deal situation, things have got a little bit slower inevitably, but and any time I've reached out to the support team, you know, I've always been dealt with, and it's been kind of resolved really quickly, which is ideal. So yeah, not really positive for Bespoke so far. Long may it continue, I suppose.
Love that.
But yeah, really good. And I think the support is definitely something. And you've got like Max and kind of Kayla who are always on Discord and stuff and accessible, which I think it is something that's a bit different from other firms. That you have that kind of reach that you know that they're always seeing what you're saying and stuff like that, and they're taking stuff on board and they're always open to suggestions, which is great.
I love that. I think, like you say, that is it's not very common in the prop firm space where the management, the owners of the prop firm are actually in there doing the dirty work and getting their hands dirty as well, which that's always something that I rave about with Bespoke, because whenever there's any issues, Max and Lewis are always available to help, like no matter what time of day it is, what day it is, where they are in the world, they're there like focusing on the business, which I think it's not very common in this industry. So for the final question, we have a question from the previous guest. So your question is from Sahib. And the question for you is, what was the pivotal moment in your journey when you realised that you'll never give up on trading?
I think it was definitely I was very close to giving up a good few times during that kind of 6-month period where I thought like I'd lost a lot, but I think it was really important that I just looked back and said, like, you've kind of done it once, you built yourself up from not being profitable to being profitable, so I think you could kind of go and do it again. But that was kind of a dark point of I didn't really want to look at the charts. I had no interest and no motivation to go back and look at them, and I think it was kind of, I had a bit of a network around me of other traders that I spoke to, and kind of they would always kind of reach out and just make sure that if like how I was getting on and stuff like that, and I think that kind of made the difference of like you can get back on your feet and go and do it. You've done it once, so why can't you go and do it again and stuff. And I don't think like I have a bit of stubbornness about me. Like I wouldn't want to be like ever quitting on something that I felt like I didn't like ultimately need to. And I think like that could have worked in my favour. It could have not, because as I say, trading's not for everyone. Everyone can't have that discipline, and like I don't bet anymore at all, like gambling outside. Like I don't do gambling because I feel like if as soon as I start gambling outside of trading, then I might start gambling in it. So like that was something that I cut completely out, because I felt like when I was gambling, like going on football or horse racing or whatever, I felt that then crept into my trading, so I stopped doing that completely. And yeah, I think that kind of helped as well.
I like that. And the point that you mentioned, obviously you have other traders around you that have like can speak that positivity into you. Do you think that that's important to have as a trader?
Yeah, I think it is really important, but I also think it's really important that you don't then become reliant on them for analysis, or like you don't then become too like you want to run everything past them. Or I think you need to always have your own edge, and you can't trade the exact same as other people. Like
absolutely,
you need to go and gather your own data, you need to go and do your own back testing, because ultimately if you've not back tested your strategy, you won't have that belief in it. You'll be hesitant to take trades, stuff like that. So I think like it's good to have that community around you, but I wouldn't become really reliant on it, because it's just you're in it for yourself. Everyone's in it for yourself in this kind of game. And I think as much as the kind of support there and stuff, you don't want to become reliant on someone, because it's all about being your own boss and kind of your own edge and stuff. So yeah, but definitely I do think it is good to have that kind of support network, and I just wouldn't go and say I need to run my trades past someone, because it's not beneficial for you in any way.
I agree. I think as traders I think it can get very lonely, because all you need is just your brain and your computer or your phone or whatever it is you're trading from. So I think we do kind of get stuck in that kind of like we're just self-reliant, it's us and our phone all the time. So I think connecting with other traders to not only give you that support when sometimes we might need it, we might be going through a losing streak and we just need someone to kind of just remind us who we are. I think it's also important to have people around you that kind of just understand what you're going through. Like no one else apart from other traders can actually understand what it is to be a trader and what we go through mentally.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. The kind of whole they understand stuff. Like you can go and speak to your family and stuff, but I know that a lot of families sometimes aren't supportive around trading and stuff like that. So yeah, I think kind of having other people who are in a similar situation is great. And I also think just like, if I was to go and try and speak to some of my friends like they're at work and that during the day, like it's also just good to have a bit of company that, like, you know, they'll kind of be on their computers or whatever. It's just someone to talk to, I suppose. So it's always good.
I agree, absolutely. Well, it's been a great chat. I'm glad that we finally got to make this happen.
Yeah, it was ideal. Yeah, it was good.
After the journey. But no, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries.
I really enjoyed speaking to you. And like I said, I think you're probably the youngest that we've had on. So that's also great as well. But no, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So what is your question for the next guest? So as always, guys, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe and hit that bell so you do not miss any of our videos, and we will see you again very soon.